Good afternoon and welcome to the result con call of Jindal SAW Limited, organized by Batliwala and Karani Securities India Private Limited. At this moment, all participants are in listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question and answer session. At that time, if you have a question, please press star 1. Please note that this conference is recorded. I would now like to turn the conference over to Mr. Shailesh Raja. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Mayuri. Good evening to all. So, on behalf of B&K Securities, I would like to welcome you to the Jindal SAW 2Q FY22 earnings call. From the management side, we'll be hearing from Mr. Neeraj Kumar, Group CEO and Whole-Time Director, Mr. Vinay Gupta, President and Head Treasury, and Mr. Narendra Mantri, President, Head Commercials and CFO. So, without taking much time, I hand over the call to Mr. Neeraj Kumar for the initial remarks, and post which we will open up for the Q&A. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, friends. On Friday, we had our board meeting. I'm sure you would have seen the results and also the brief analysis that we attach with the results, which will explain the results. However, let me just walk you through some of the important numbers, and then probably we should go behind the numbers to see what are the highlights and how, in this difficult situation, Jindal SAW stands strong. And why I say difficult situation? Because the second wave of pandemic, the whole economy, we are recovering. The second, at this point of time, if you see, the raw material prices for Jindal SAW is very volatile. We all know what has happened to iron ore. We all know what has happened to iron and steel. And now, we all know what is happening to coal. And all this in a global perspective where China has its own problems and the spillover of the China effect is still uncertain. So one side you have a completely volatile, unpredictable market with respect to iron ore, with respect to coal, with respect to iron and steel, and still we have a situation where we find ourselves in the middle of a year where there are green shoots, there are glimpses of hope, and most important, there is a strong confidence within our organization that we have sailed through many. This one would be no different. We have actually come to terms with many of these situations. Unless there is a third wave, unless the coal prices continue to remain what they are or even more volatile, I think Jindal SAW is past the cusp. We should close the year well. You already have the first half results in front of you. This quarter, we had a top line of 2,571 crores, EBITDA of 380 crores, and PBT of 196 crores, as compared to a comparable quarter of 2,000 crores last year, 295 crores last year, and 112 crores last year, respectively. If you see, so this was the comparable quarter last year. If you look at the trailing quarter, we are marginally behind. Various factors. Q2, traditionally for Jindal SAW, because of the monsoon, etc., has always been a little subdued than Q1. And this coupled with the raw material prices. which also has shown that EBITDA as a percentage from a trailing quarter where it was 16% plus has come down to less than 15 marginally. But the same trend continues if you look at Q2 last year. So that's how broadly you should look at the result. In the given circumstances, I would request all of you to see the positivity, the trend, and the ability of Jindal SAW to go through such a troubled times in terms of pandemic and volatility on the raw material side. Let me turn my attention to some of the other aspects which I think are very important for us to understand the result in the perspective. At this point of time, the sector or the division of our entire business portfolio which has been hit the hardest is the HSAW. Primarily because A, increase in steel prices, B, the EPC contractors putting their projects on hold, the government trying to defer the contracts, because an HSAW market is typically a wafer thin margin market. It's like you take a raw material price conversion and that's how the pipes are sold. And therefore the HSAW market is the one which has been hit the hardest at this point of time. But what we must be happy is going forward we seem to have a good time ahead, because the Jal Jeevan Mission, the sectoral demand for water for transmission is going to go very strong. So the moment the steel prices stabilizes, the moment there is a calming, all this pent-up demand is going to come back. And therefore, HSAW market, which at this point of time does appear a little depressed, is a very, very small cyclical factor which is there. Oil and gas, there is a good news in terms of now GAIL, ONGC, IOCL, they all have some major plans which should be in the market by way of a tender within this year. So oil and gas, especially the oil prices which are stabilizing, also gives you good news for the LSAW business in the export market. Export market, within our sales funnel, we are looking at over 3 lakh tons in the next 2 years. Let me repeat, LSAW, oil and gas, export market, we are looking at over 3 lakh tons in the next 2 years. Likewise, LSAW in the domestic water sector, which is the slurry pipeline, also we see some demand, which is a new one, which is going to come. We are happy about it. Exports also is showing a promisable sign in terms of those slurry pipelines, etc. HSAW already I have said, water, domestic, huge pent-up demand. The moment the price stabilizes, you would see all coming back. And you all know, Jindal SAW is the best positioned among all its peers. Multiple locations, strategic locations, and capacity available, talent available. We are absolutely ready. We are production ready, multiple locations, and everything is there. So the moment these demand come, we should be there to take care of it. Looking at order book, it does appear a little low. Typically our comfort zone is over $1 billion. Currently we are at around 700 million, 800 million. But it is not worrisome at all. Because as I told you, LSAW, HSAW, lot of pent-up demand lot of things in the pipeline, and therefore, even though the order book is a little low, relatively low at this point of time, it is not a matter of concern. We have enough to close the year well. Now, let me address the working capital cycle and debt, because they are all interlinked. The working capital cycle, if you see, is showing improvement. Consequently, there is a increase in the short-term debt. It is just that on the balance sheet date, there were some LCs which were paid, and therefore the creditors moved to the debt. So it's only a balance sheet kind of a reworking or regrouping item without any significant impact on the business, and therefore none of you investors should get concerned about it. Hopeful, we are confident that the investors would see the value. One thing that we still do not have is a deep-pocketed, strong institutional investor, and I'm sure we would catch the attention of the relevant people, and it would reflect on our market cap the value that we are creating. But as a management, we are committed to creating very strong, fundamentally strong company which does good business, maintains very high degree of governance, and creates value for shareholders. And we hope that the market would realize this soon. That let me end and take up questions.
Certainly. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. If you have a question, please press star 1 on your phone and await your turn to ask the question when guided by me. If your question has been answered before your turn and you wish to withdraw your request, you may do so by pressing star 1 again. We have first question from the line of Mr. Saket Kapoor from Kapoor Company. Please go ahead.
Yeah, namaskar sir, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the detailed explanation, sir. And sir, firstly, if we look on a Q-on-Q number on a consolidated basis, the numbers are on the lower side, and also, sir, the standalone numbers, our profit is 196 crore, whereas on the consolidated is 179 crore. So what led to the reduction in the profitability on a consolidated level, sir?
Let me just, okay, to answer your question, standalone to consolidated, the difference is on account of, as I told you, the US has not done well. It is now picking up, and Abu Dhabi, there was a slight glitch because the pig iron prices were up. See, Abu Dhabi, we don't have blast furnace. It operates on induction furnace. And the pig iron prices, as you know, is also crazy. And that's the one which has caused this dip. But again, it's temporary. We will be able to get over it.
Okay, right, sir. And sir, as you are telling that things are going to improve, so how should H2 be shaping up in terms of the deliverables of pipes? And sir, in the order booking also, we have observed that 2100 crores worth of order booking has come from the water segment. So that is mainly towards the large dia pipe that is attributable to, sir? That 2100.
So it is both. It is DI as well as large dia. But how do we look forward? As I told you, H1 plus a good prognosis, less the volatility in the raw material market. That's the equation that you should look at. I am restrained by my CFO and others to give you a guidance on the EBITDA or the numbers. But essentially, there is optimism, there is positivity because of our strong order book, ability to get orders. The only hitch is till how long this coal prices remain very volatile. And therefore, I am confident of getting a very, very good result next year for sure. And this year also the trend should be improving.
Right, sir. Okay, sir. I'll come in the queue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to ask any more questions, please press star 1 and get in the queue. We have next question from the line of Ms. Pratiksha Gadkari from Equitas Investment. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. So my first question is for the subsidiary, the Abu Dhabi subsidiary, what is the volume outlook? Like last H2 we had a very good period. So do we expect to do similar this year?
Yes. Last year we crossed 2 lakh tons, and this year we will beat that for sure.
Okay. And profitability, like you said that the pig iron prices have gone up, but do we feel that the worst is over, or we might have some issues for some more period, like say 1 more quarter?
We have tried to secure ourselves by procuring pig iron looking forward. So to that extent, we have secured ourselves in Abu Dhabi on pig iron, in India on coal, but these are all based on assumptions that the prices continue to now remain stable or start really coming to a realistic level. But as I said, China factor is really now causing a lot of uncertainty and a lot of concern. So assume that the China continues to behave in a different fashion, and if the prices continue to be very volatile, then whatever hedging that we have put in the system for pig iron in Abu Dhabi and coal in India may have, the impact of that, the positive impact of that may get limited.
Okay.
But this point of time, the China factor is really creating a lot of uncertainty, but where we are drawing hope from that fundamentally and in reality, Chinese economy is really in trouble. So how much they can sustain and how much they can window dress is now anybody's guess. Because otherwise, China economy is becoming unsustainable for themselves. And that's why, but we all know what China is. It's a completely opaque. So that gives us hope that this may not continue for very long, and soon we should be back on doing good business globally.
Understandable. So my next question is on seamless front. So what would be the execution period of our current order book? And secondly, do we expect the realization to sustain the realization that we have so far?
What we are doing is, wherever there is an EPC or the contractors are, we have a private participant, we are going back to them for repricing. So therefore, the NSR we are able to maintain. And at this point of time, at least in the seamless segment, there is not much worry of the execution. We are maintaining a very healthy now balance between the order book as well as our execution capabilities.
Okay. So what would be the execution period for the order book right now?
Per month, we are doing in the seamless in the vicinity of, say, about 15 to 18,000, depending on the sizes and the changeovers.
This would include stainless as well?
No, I'm talking about seamless.
Seamless. And for stainless steel?
Stainless steel on an annual basis, now we should be able to do 20 more. If you take the welded as well as tubes, non-welded.
Okay.
That's the
20,000 tons. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And we are able to, when you say we have been able to reprice, we are basically able to pass on the stainless steel or steel prices on actual basis.
Yes. We go for repricing. Exactly. Whenever we go for repricing, see, government contracts are more or less fixed price contracts, so we have to absorb whatever is the up and the down. But in the private sector, whenever the clients are private sector guys, EPC guys and the others, there is a possibility to revisit them, because then it works both ways. When there is a, we request them for a pass it on. When there's a decrease, then they request us for a, so it's like it works both ways.
Understood. And sir, what would be the execution period for our saw pipes right now?
Saw pipe, this year we go to, अभी अगर आप देखो तो एल सौ में हम हैं around 45, 35, 80,000. That 80,000 should maybe go to 1,20,000, and S saw is about over 1 lakh or close to 1 lakh. We should go beyond 2 to 2.25 lakhs. Now, broadly, we see good business ahead, healthy business ahead, and assuming no pandemic third wave or severe third wave, and some stabilization on the raw material prices, we expect the next 2 years to be very good for us in our existing business. That suffices to say that DI business continues to have a very, very strong momentum and continues to have a very strong demand. Let me address now some of the very important aspects which are more forward-looking. First, you must have seen the announcement that Sathavahana has made and we have made. Through a public notice, a selection by experts approved by the NCLT based on the recommendation of RP, Jindal SAW has been selected as an agency which will carry out the repair and maintenance of the Sathavahana facility to put them back to work. This is a 260 odd crores contract which A, gives us an insight, ability to put this capacity, save this capacity from extinction. It's a very strategic location in South India. So it gives us an ability to do all of those for the industry, which is the DI industry. Second, as the whole process goes through the NCLT, I'm sure there would be a beauty parade because there is a expression of interest which was already out. I am told we are few of them, and when I say few of them, we include ourselves. So, it also gives us a chance to participate in the beauty parade conducted by NCLT through their RP very seriously. So, things have moved in a direction where upon becoming a successful bidder in the NCLT process, Jindal SAW would add close to 2 to 2.5 lakh tons of DI capacity in South India inorganically, which will be a significant jump in our capacity and ability to address the South Indian market, which thus far has been addressed only by one supplier. This also would give us some power, which is at this point of time captive plus some surplus power that we can do various things, including using it for group captive. So there would be a certain amount of power also which would be available. Likewise, there would be a certain amount of coke which will be available, which can be a good synergy with Jindal SAW as a whole. So we have won the contract for repair and maintenance. We are among the few who have expressed the interest to participate in the bidding process, and definitely we would be taking this opportunity very seriously. Upon successful completion, if that is an assumption, our DI business will take a significant step forward, including additional power that we can use or we can benefit from, additional coke which we can use or we can benefit from as a overall company. The second important thing that I wish to address is Section 34 argument of NTPC versus JITF. We had a meeting on 25th of November, hearing 25th of October, yeah. We had a 25th. As is expected, NTPC did not comply with the requirements of the court and therefore the court has had a few words for the Learned Counsel of the NTPC, and now they have given a series of dates. They said, okay, now we will begin to hear this on a day-to-day basis. NTPC has been asked to file everything, summarize everything into a 5-pager in terms of their objections. We had to do the same. We have submitted our NTPC is yet to. So we hope that now things are coming to a foray where the judge is very keen that we should listen to now this case on merit. And as I said, judge has also asked both sides to submit something on as a 5-page basis. We have submitted ours. NTPC has not even submitted as yet. We hope that this time they would comply with the court suggestions, the court requirements, and we will progress this case as quickly as possible. The third aspect that I would like to cover is the stainless business of ours has stabilized. In terms of market, the whole market now knows that Jindal has a very strong, probably among the few, extrusion facility in stainless steel, which puts us in a different field. So now there is a market awareness. We have done some very good deals. There is a stability in production. We are adding a few balancing equipments in that area, and we would very soon be adding to the strength of carbon steel, alloy steel business along with stainless steel business. Also, all of you are aware, we have a license from Hunting for premium connections. I'm happy to let all of you know that at this point of time, we are in active discussion for a possible joint venture with Hunting, which again will put us into a very different league when it comes to this business, when it comes to addressing the OCTG, when it comes to addressing the high value add chromium, etc. business. So we stay focused on our business, move towards value add, stay strong in a difficult scenario, and the overhang of NTPC likely to end soon. We are hopeful that in these difficult situations, Jindal SAW performance would be very strong over the next 12 to 18 to 24 months. One thing which remains our concern is our market cap. It has seen some movement, but still it's far from what our expectation is. Even if you take any parameters, it is far. This remains our concern, but we are. So this order book, how long it will take to consume is actually not the way to look at it, because this is like a, it's like a tub. So there is a continuous filling and there is a continuous drain, and everything is fungible. So we are expecting to close the year end on a SO of 2,25,000 total and LSAW of 1,20,000 total. So that would make you 3.5 to 4 lakhs of large dia business, which typically we are happy when we do more than 5.5. So that is, as I told you, one area of concern in terms of tonnage. But it's more than compensated by what we are doing on the pellet side. So here there is a concern, or there is a matter of that you will see a dip. But as Jindal SAW, we continue to stay stable, because that would be more than compensated by what we have done in pellet.
Okay. So, sir, on pellet front, I think we are seeing that the realizations have moderated a bit, and for H1 at least, pellets have substantially supported our margins. So, how do I look at pellet segment performance for the H2, and do we see a material impact on margins going ahead thanks to pellet prices?
Pellet prices has stabilized, has come down a little bit, and we hope that it will stabilize. Even if it comes down, it will come down marginally. But what you need to understand that what we lost in large dia, we gained in pellet. Now, if we lose anything on the pellet side, we will gain in the large diameter pipes, because there is enough pent-up demand and there is enough capacity. So therefore, as a organization, there is a automatic balancing which is available, and that is where we will take advantage. See, Jindal SAW has got a few things. A, the business model is such that there is automatic balancing. B, our market presence, market positioning is such that we are actually the first among the peers and the equals to get a contract if we want to. So that gives us the flexibility of adjusting very quickly to and making the best of the opportunity.
Right. So, sir, do we still stick with the guidance of our EBITDA per ton profitability be similar to FY20 levels for the year, or it might go down a little bit?
No, see, last quarter, normally we keep around H1 EBITDA is 15. Last quarter was 16.6, which was pellets. So EBITDA should continue between 14 and 7.5 to 15 and 2.5.
Okay. All right. And sir, any plans of debt reduction?
Debt will reduce as per schedule. And we have a very healthy profile. We don't want to disturb it, because now the banks, as it is, our cost of borrowing is very good, but now the banks, I'm told, are becoming a little, revenue minded, and therefore any prepayment, they always insist on the prepayment premium or penalty, whichever way you look at it. And therefore, on the term loan basis, as it is, we are somewhere around 1700 crores. It will run its course. Working capital is the one which will keep on going up or down as per the requirement of the business.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Pratiksha. Next we have in queue Mr. Vikas Singh from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, just wanted to understand a little bit more on Sathavahana. Sir, who will pay for this contract which we have got, or is this a contingent the fact that somebody has to win this asset and then they will pay you back from the money they will do for NCLT? Just wanted to understand that side of it.
The contract is structured such that once we put this whole two facilities to work in terms of once it is up and running commissioning, then we would be allowed to produce, sell and recover our money. This is one process. This is how the construct of the contract is for repair and maintenance. Second is NTPC process, which is the process of, second the NCLT process. So that process is where the RP along with NCLT would be wanting to select a possible owner. Depending on the result, who the possible owner is, they may want to deal with the repair and maintenance agent which has been duly appointed in a manner which is like business-like. So therefore, both will run parallel. The result would depend on who the successful bidder comes out to be after the NCLT process and how that discussion happens between the successful bidder who is the owner and the repair and maintenance agent, which currently is Jindal SAW.
Understood, sir. So, sir, is that a way to just a follow-up on this? So, any IRR which we would be looking, and is it safe to assume that until and unless we would cover our full money, this asset can't be transferred to somebody else?
No. See, as per the NCLT, this becomes it makes Jindal SAW, the work that they do, the contract that they have, they become a secured creditor in a manner of speaking. So they have to be dealt with by the successful bidder for the ownership.
Understood. Any IRR we are getting on this initial investment which we would be putting up in Sathavahana? In case if we don't win it, then there should be some IRR, right? It's not about the just absolute money returning.
At present, the beauty parade is yet to happen. There are several players in the EOI, and therefore I would like to park this answer to this question for a later date.
Understood. So my second question pertains to one in our press release. We have written that we were very cautious in taking new orders because of the high prices. So just wanted to understand, have we came to the understanding that the price increase in steel has basically came to an halt, and now we would be aggressively participating in orders, or we are still trending a little bit sideways for some more time? Just wanted to understand our bidding strategy going forward.
Bidding strategy for what?
So basically, like you say, given in the press release that you were very cautious in taking new orders. So have we now would be bidding aggressively going forward, thinking that
the bidding strategy is very simple. The bidding strategy is simple. We will participate in all opportunities that come our way, but we will not bend over backwards to do what in our view is not a good business. Thereby what I mean is, since we have a healthy order book, since we have multiple businesses, we don't think there is any reason for us to get desperate. And whenever we have seen in a oligopolistic situation, people who have got desperate anyway, they have steamed out very quickly. So we are building the strength and staying power to stay till we are able to do good business, and we don't see any reason or anything to worry about it. We will definitely not act desperately in the market.
Understood, sir. Sir, pertains to a previous question asked by one participant account regarding repricing of orders. So could you share with us what percentage of our order has been repriced and the margins have been now protected there?
In DI, we have covered more than 50% because whatever is the government, as I told you, once it's a fixed price contract, it's very difficult to renegotiate. Because government will not renegotiate with you. But most of the EPC in DI, in large dia, we have been able to renegotiate and get some compensation additional.
Understand, sir. Sir, just one last question regarding our extra pipe outlook. You said that these things are, you expect things to improve, but at the same time, the steel prices remains on a higher level. So just wanted your thought process that what are is that the EPC contractor has came to you that they have taken this new steel prices as a new normal and they want to go ahead with the project, or what is the change which is basically would drive the demand in the second half of the
See, there is always a pent-up demand. As I told you, GAIL, IOCL, oil and gas sector is likely to move ahead irrespective, which is essentially GAIL, ONGC, IOCL and all of those, because there the stakes are too high, and therefore those tenders which are in the pipeline will move irrespective, is what our assessment is. For the water sector, there is a huge pent-up demand, but that is where both the EPC contractors as well as the irrigation and PHED and other departments of all the states have held back certain tenders and certain contracts, which the moment the raw material prices get to stabilize, we believe will come in the market very soon. So the water sector would be dependent on the raw material prices. Oil sector will come irrespective, and we expect some very large orders to come in the coming 4 to 5 months.
Understood, sir. That's all from my side. Thank you for taking my question, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Next we have in queue Mr. Rishabh Shah from RS Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to understand, sir, on supply side, the segments that we cater and the markets that we operate, how much, percentage supply is going to come in the next 1-2 years? You can share some insights here, sir.
How much?
Now, how much percentage supply, is going to come? Capacity addition is going to come in the segments that we operate in the markets that we cater in the next maybe 1 year or so?
1 year or so, not much. Except for Sathavahana 250,000 capacity getting revived. I don't see in 1 year anything coming in large dia. We already have a lot of capacity. Seamless, ISMT is going through again a possible transition or a M&A. The others are there. Stainless again, whatever had to be added has been added. Pellets, I don't see any major addition. So in terms of capacity getting added into the system in all 4 segments or including stainless, I don't see much in the next 12 months except for Sathavahana.
Okay. And some on pricing, I understand it's very dynamic, but as per your assessment, overall, how much in a worst case scenario, how much lower can prices go, the next 3 to 6 months, or or any risk you see?
Why would the price go next to 6 months? Which price are you talking about? Worst case scenario?
Yeah, well, general in all the products that we cater to.
Boss, you have to be clear, na? Prices going down in raw material is not bad news. It's not a worst case scenario. It's a good sector for us. Likewise, prices going down in the pipe sector. Why would the prices go down in the pipe sector unless the raw material falls more than that? Iron ore, pellets, again, correction has happened, stabilization has happened. So don't worry about too much dip in the prices. Only keep an eye on the raw material, which is iron and steel, coal and iron ore, and that would guide the market, because there is not a glut in the market that any of us, by that I mean pipe manufacturers, are artificially going to suppress the prices. Because if somebody wants to hurt themselves, it's a different issue. At least, as I told you, certainly, very certainly, we are not going to become desperate, and we will not have a desperate move. And we don't think anybody should do that or would do that. So prices में आपको बहुत ज़्यादा तकलीफ नहीं आनी चाहिए. Raw material की prices के बारे में आप चिंता करें, और उसमें भी if you have a view on the China factor, then please let us know. I would love to hear that.
Okay, sure. And the last thing, sir, on the long-term debt, how much are we planning to repay by next year, sir?
देखो अभी हम 1700 के पास हैं, हम अगले 1521. So we are at 1521 this year. In the next 12 months, we will have 250 to 300 crores, which we will repay. We have a very comfortable cash position, so we will repay. As I told you, we don't want to accelerate this, because as it is up to अपना long-term debt to EBITDA has come down much lower than 1.
Understood, sir. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. Next we have in queue Mr. Saket Kapoor from Kapoor Company. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, any update you have for the sale of the non-assets, as due to COVID, site visits could not have been concluded earlier. So, do we have any other update?
Yes, non-core assets. There were 3 EPC. We already are in a joint venture, and that joint venture is doing very well. I'm sure if you ask my office, they will give you a general. We have now a joint venture for our EPC business, which is called JWIL. That's doing very well. That's one of the non-core business. Second non-core business is waste to energy. We already have a signed term sheet. Now I'm told there is a movement, because their international experts wanted to come to India to complete the last leg of DD. International flights have begun, and therefore we expect that should continue, or that complete process should get completed. The visit of the technical expert should happen before the year end. And in the rail business also, we are seeing some traction. There are few people who are talking to us. So all 3 non-core business have stopped being a drain on cash into the system. That's the first important thing, that we have stabilized our non-core business in terms of performance. In terms of effort to monetize is still on, and now there appears to be some visibility on the steps on closures towards that. Before March 2022, we hope that we would make substantial progress on that.
Right, sir. Sir, if you could also throw some light on what was the contribution from this US facility and what is the scope of work there, sir? Is it only about the coating work that we are doing at US, or we are also manufacturing pipes there? And what was the forex impact for the first half on the numbers? How has the forex behaved?
Yeah, as far as Jindal SAW India is concerned, what is consolidated is only the coating 50 crore. And the contribution in the last quarter or half year?
Last quarter.
Last quarter they added 50 crore to the
Top line and 6 crore EBITDA.
Okay. So you heard that.
Yeah, I heard.
At this point of time, we do have pipe manufacturing facility, etc., but they are not a part of Jindal SAW. At Jindal SAW, we added 50 crores in top line and 6 crores as EBITDA, which is of the coating facility.
Okay. That is the EBITDA numbers. So what is the PAT numbers? Are we making money from the US business or losing?
No, we are in the positive side.
Right. And on the forex part, sir, how have the forex played?
Well, that business is in US, huh?
No, sir. I'm talking about the foreign exchange. I'm talking about the foreign exchange impact on the numbers on the P&L, whether it was positively contributed or
that would be in the positive. That would be not covered there. It would be a part of your revenue and interest cost. Just let me look at it. Net gain loss. No, it's more or less neutral.
Okay. And lastly, sir, it was very comforting to hear today from you that it is the shareholders' value creation that the team and the management is looking forward to. So, in terms of the sustainable value creation, what other steps are you contemplating, sir, going forward that will give the message to us that the work is in progress? And sir, for the capex part, sir, how much? What is the capex we are going to do for what we have done for the first half, and how much is due for the year?
Okay. No major capex. Whatever is there, normal capex will continue, and whatever we have done in H1 should just make it into, and that should suffice. Okay.
Didn't get you, sir. Come again, sir.
Achha, now, Saket, I need your help. See, I know you have been an avid follower of Jindal SAW. And when we say that we are there to create shareholders' value, in fact, I would actually not only from you, but all people who have been following us very closely, I would love to hear from them that as management, as an organization, which is the box that we have not ticked. The only thing that we have not done is we are waiting for the market cap, the shareholders to realize the value. But for that, please guide us, please tell us, and this is an invitation to all our stakeholders, all people who are interested in us, following us. You have our email. Please give your suggestions. See, we have reorganized ourselves. We have sold non-core business. We have monetized whatever we can. Debt is under control. EBITDA is under control. Business model is one of the most robust. So just look at all aspects, whether it is balance sheet, whether it is business, whether it is P&L, and we are definitely hoping as the market cap has begun to react or has begun to now realize the value and move, things would move. So to that extent, Saket, I would really want all of you to give us some guidance that except for the market cap, where is the issue that I don't see we have left anything.
So with your permission, I will just put forward a very small point and give it my chance to the next speaker. So firstly, we should look forward for a dividend distribution policy depending upon the cash flow. that the company has been posting on a consistent basis, there should be that dividend distribution should be commensurate. The stock is trading at a discount to the book value on a consistent basis for over a large period of time. So the management should look forward in terms of buyback or other ways by which this gap between the book value and the market value narrows down. And then it depends also on your consultant and the team that works accordingly to create to bridge this gap. There is a gap that is very much visible to everyone. So that is the top of the mind which I thought. Firstly, there should be a consistent.
I will ask my office to be in touch with you. Our treasury team would be in touch with you, and all the people who are listening to this. If any one of you wish to guide us, give us suggestions, ideas, we would be more than happy to engage with you, and we will definitely consider these as we move along.
Right, sir. And we are hoping for stable and consistent set of operational performance going forward, sir, from the management. This is what I can conclude from your introductory and also
that is assured. That is assured.
Yes, and we are being run as a professional management, so there is no second thought on these two factors. So hopefully, sir, the point is well taken by the team.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity, and happy Diwali to the entire team, sir. Hope it brings prosperity to everybody and safety paramount, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Wish you a happy Diwali as well.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. There are no further questions. Now I would like to hand over the floor to Mr. Shailesh Raja for closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you all for attending this session. We especially thank the Jindal SAW team for their time. Neeraj sir, any closing comment would you like to make?
I would like to thank all the shareholders, all the stakeholders for their continued interest. We do know and we do realize market cap is something that is a common concern for all of us, and I hope we will be able to address this sooner than later. The market would realize and give us the rightful place. What we assure you is of consistent, good performance and fundamentally strong company. That is our firm assurance to all of you. And with that, let me give all of you a lot of greetings for the season. Happy Diwali to all of you. This is a lovely now next few months. All of you, please stay healthy and stay blessed. Have a happy life. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes your conference call for today. We thank you for your participation and for using iJunction conference service. You may disconnect your lines now and have a pleasant evening ahead. Thank you.